Well. Remember, guys, I told you all that I would not believe it until I hear it coming out of Niesha's mouth. And guess what, folks? Niesha put out a video last night. I was so tired. I said, but this video is going to take me into my sleep because I'm tired, but I can't get to bed. When I listened to the video, lo and behold, my wish was granted. I heard it out of Niesha's mouth that her first-born son was a product of incest. But I want you guys to listen to how everything unfolded. So Jaguar was not lying. She was telling the truth in this instance. And I guess Niesha figured, you know what? It's already out. TJ told Jaguar, and Jaguar essentially told the world. So I may as well get ahead of this story and put it out myself so I would not be shamed. And so I won't have to cover up something that's already out. It's not really getting ahead of the story, but she's trying to do damage control because the story is already out. She had already chronicled her journey from 2 years old when she was taken from her mother. Her grandmother raised her, and then she went into her young adult years where she was very happy in her family member's home. After her grandmother died, then the bouncing started. Her mother got sick and they were bounced from house to house. Her mother had HIV. Well, she was HIV positive. So they eventually ended up in her uncle's home. Her uncle had a teenage son, but her uncle would be gone for long periods of time. So can you imagine being a young girl, she and her sister, young girls, in a home where there was little or no adult supervision? So Niesha is going to narrate her own story, and this is where she picks up. I am going to be interjecting my commentary as the story moves along.
Insurance man came in, and my uncle wheeled my mother to the table.
So at this point, they were all living with their uncle, including her mother, who was deathly ill. Now, when the insurance man came, he came to transfer title of the insurance from the brother's name, Niesha's brother, who was older than them, transfer the title from his name to the uncle's name.
Insurance man came in, and my uncle wheeled my mother to the table. I felt invisible, like be seen, not heard.
It's not surprising that she felt that way because for a lot of kids, when they are being bounced around from place to place, house to house, even if it's a family member, they feel as though they are invisible. There's no say so. They have no type of permanency, not a permanent room, not a permanent dwelling. The parents, in this case with Niesha, her parents were on drugs. And because they were being bounced from place to place, she felt invisible, in her own words.
And I don't know how long we were there before the abuse with my older cousin started. However, there was a conversation that I heard between my uncle and his wife at the time, and it basically was saying, like, you know, we didn't have nothing, so basically he's gonna give us the bare minimum. Like, it kind of came off as if all the things that were happening were our fault. And I know I'm kind of diving into it really deep, but that's kind of where we are in the story. So my mom is really sick, and she's no longer speaking. She makes these noises at night throughout the house. They get us all together for school. So I remember this day because I think that was like our third or second day of school, and I was coming in from school, and I seen the insurance man. So in my family, a lot of my family members had the same insurance man, and I seen the insurance man come in, and then my brother. Story is my brother was my mom's beneficiary for her life insurance. So the insurance man comes in, and my uncle wheels my mother out of her room, and him and the insurance man came in, and my uncle wheeled my mother to the table, and him and the insurance man are talking. And so the story is that my brother was the beneficiary for all my mom's stuff, and my uncle changed it from my brother to him. Like, what? I didn't even know that. But I heard it happening, and I heard my brother's name being mentioned, and they really, a lot of my family at that time really was trying to give my brother a lot of shit, you know, and like he was young, and I don't think they realized that till I got a little bit older, and I was like, y'all fell into realize that he was 18, and he was not our father. He shouldn't have been anybody's father. However, he was. He was very mature for his age. However, he was very immature for his age, and the things that he was doing at the time were very, very, very very mature and a lot wise for him. He was 18.
So it sounds to me as if he was given the brunt of the responsibility for his younger siblings because the mother was not able to take care of them properly and the father was out of the home. And so the burden of the responsibilities lay at the feet of this 18-year-old boy who was mature in a sense to take care of his brothers and sisters to the best of his ability. However, because he was 18, of course, he's going to do some immature things. And the family couldn't understand it because they did not realize this is a young adult, still maturing, still coming into his own as a young adult. And he was not ready to take on the responsibilities of raising his younger siblings.
You know, so he took his long story, he took him off. That happened. He took my brother off, and the household that we were living in was very, very chaotic. The family members that I were living with, it was DV in the house, and it was bad. It was real bad, and it got to the point where the adults in the house were like not being there as much as they should have, and my mom couldn't do anything. So, you know, she wasn't even herself. And then we would be going to school again without an adult being there. It was pretty cool, but it still was like I was invisible there. Like I just remember not really interacting with an adult or an adult asking me like, how you been? How was school? You know, they took me to school, showed me what my schedule, gave me my schedule, and it was like I was just by myself. Like, you know, the household was just not. It was chaotic. It was a lot of toxicity there, and the DV was really bad.
So it sounds as if the kids were raising themselves. The 18-year-old brother was responsible, but as a boy, 18 years old, not all 18 years old are that responsible. So it sounds as if he was off doing his own little thing. And the girls were left pretty much to raise themselves. I drew that conclusion because she said her brother was responsible in one way, and the other way he was irresponsible. So that only leads to one conclusion. He helped raise them and did the bare necessity for the younger ones, but he was off doing his own thing when he found the opportunity and left the girls to raise themselves. That's my conclusion to what she's saying.
And I just felt real invisible. And I think at that point I stopped talking. I became like low-key a mute because who did I have to talk to? It was just me and my sister, and she was younger and she would be off doing her own little thing. And in my mind, I had a lot of things going on in music, boy. I didn't really have like a radio yet. So just the radio, me and I would just sit there and I would just be sitting there. I don't know if that's strange.
So I think when she said she didn't have a radio yet, but just a radio, she really meant to say she didn't have a really expensive or playable radio, but she had something that was very cheap, that was barely audible, but it worked for the situation she was in. She was able to escape into the music.
Or what, but I would just be sitting there and singing, listening to the music, just vibing by myself. Now that I think about it, what I do now as an adult, especially now I don't have a partner or anything, which is okay.
Well, she said it's okay not having a partner rather quickly, which tells me that she's beginning to get over TJ. She really needs to, because life goes on. If someone doesn't want you, you can't make them want you. And there's a little over 7 billion people in the world. I'm sure there's someone out there for you. So don't be that distraught and go into this depression that you're so unloved, etc. When God is ready for you to find that Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, it will happen. Sometimes it's best not to go looking. Sometimes allow that person to find you. But you just got to be in the right place at the right time. But it's good to see that she's beginning to get over this hurt. And in time, she's not going to be so angry. Not even at Jaguar. Because let's face it, Jaguar did not go looking for TJ. TJ is the one who went looking for Jaguar. Like Jaguar said, she didn't know nothing about TJ until she made herself known. So the person who Niesha really should be upset with is TJ and not Jaguar. Why do we do that, folks? Why do we get upset with the wrong person? If our man or woman goes looking for somebody else, then we get upset at that person that they introduced into their lives instead of being mad at the man or the woman who went looking. We do that all the time, all day, every day. Niesha is no exception to the rule. She's mad at Jaguar, but Jaguar did not go looking for TJ. It's a displaced anger. She really should be upset at TJ. But in time, I think she will be.
And I would be just sitting there vibing to the music. Nobody would be in the house. Just me, my sister and this cousin. And so I can't remember the exact day or night that this happened. But it started off like a slow thing. He came into my room and I don't want to be really graphic, but he came into my room and that was the first day of me being, molested, or what do you say, essay? You can't say it on here. You can't say essay. You should say essay. That was the first day. And first time. He was 18 and I was 13. So, that was it. And that's when it started. And it was an ongoing thing. The DV in the house was really bad. The adults in the house were really not even there. One fight was so bad that my little cousin at the time that was there, she was just like telling one of my family members that this fight had went on all day long. They argued all day long. They fought in the kitchen, and then they went from the bath to the kitchen to the bathroom, and then to the room. And then I guess they got so bad to where a pillow ended up being put over, at the time, her face, and all I hear is my little cousin like, Daddy, don't kill her, don't kill my mom. And that was our cue, like that's what made, because I was just sitting in my room, because what am I going to do? Like, I'm sitting in my room and I'm listening to them fight, because that's just what they did. And then I go in the room because I hear my little cousin saying, "Daddy, don't kill her." And then he gets off of her. She says she's calling the police, and he runs, and he leaves, and then she packs up herself and her daughter, and she leaves. We're in the house by ourselves. So then the abuse just went on and on and on, and nobody ever really asked me what happened. Nobody ever really asked me what happened and how long and what was said. Nothing. Nobody ever really asked me. So I just didn't say. I just felt invisible, and I really stopped talking. Even when I would go to school, like, I was a lone wolf. I was by myself.
But isn't it sad, folks, that when children are being abused, they feel so alone, like if they can't talk to anyone. So I want you guys out there to know that there's always somebody who will listen. If you can't talk to your parents, you can talk to your school teacher. If you can't talk to the school teacher, you tell a stranger. You go to the store and tell somebody in the store. There is somebody who's going to help you. Even a stranger will help you in a time of need. You don't know where your help is going to come from, but you have to speak out. So Niesha felt so alone and so invisible and so isolated that she went into a shell. And she stayed in that shell, and she didn't allow it, but it happened. But she didn't tell anyone because she didn't think she had a voice to speak.
I didn't have many friends. We didn't have like really clothes, shoes, and all that. So I kind of, it was just basic things. Like, so it was basic, you know. Luckily, at that time, I didn't get picked on or anything. So, yeah, that went on. What happened after that? I can't even tell you how long we were in the house without an adult. God, I don't remember.
Since they were in the home alone without an adult, as she said, for long periods of time, because the uncle would stay gone, and the younger girls were left alone with this 18-year-old. I'm wondering if he also essayed her sister, who was younger, because a lot of times they move from one member of the family to the next. These people who like to perpetrate an assault on family members, they don't stay with one person. They will move on and on and on. So I believe if Niesha ever had that conversation with her sister, she might be surprised that her sister also went through the same thing at the hands of this cousin.
So after, well, then when my uncle decided to come back, then we all moved to, prior to that, he came back. So it was just us. He would really be gone. He still would be gone a lot. So it really was just us still. And I think, well, I know it was around Christmas time. And I think that was when I got pregnant. He would always ask me, why you didn't say nothing? Why you didn't say nothing? Because I felt invisible. I felt invisible. I felt alone. I do remember those feelings. And as my belly started to grow, I was going to school still. The clothes that I did have, like my breasts were getting bigger. And I ain't paying much attention to it for real. And a lot of my family just assumed that I knew, you know, what was going on with me. Or even knew really what X was. You know, like, this was happening to me, but I'm not using this word frequently. You know, I don't know if you, now that I think about it, a lot of things that people thought I knew, I'm just now learning in the last freaking really 11 years, 10 years of my life. So, in this sixth grade, seventh grade. Because I started 8th grade. I had him right before 8th grade.
So folks, this is a junior high school kid. She's not in high school yet. Her belly is growing. You want to tell me there's no adult who noticed? I don't care how fat you are as a kid. When that belly starts rising, there's a change. And I don't care how baggy clothes you wear. There's a change in your body. And if you are a family member and you are observing this child on a daily basis, even if she's quiet, you will notice. If the family don't notice, you want to tell me none of the teachers noticed? You want to tell me no adults who were coming around these kids noticed? Schoolmates, none of the classroom kids or the teachers noticed? I think everybody dropped the ball.
And a lot of people was calling me, like a lot of family was calling me fat. Then I did this and I did that. So then, of course, my belly gets bigger. And my mom comes back. We move out this house. So we move out this house because my uncle and his wife at the time broke up. So we move out this house and we go to a different house. We go to live with another family member, all of us. I'm pregnant. But at the time, I didn't know, and I don't think anybody else knew yet. My mom, like right before we moved, one of my aunts came over, and I guess she was questioning this is what I heard, because I didn't know this at the time. She was questioning my uncle, like, Niesha look like, well, they call me Niesha. Niesha look like she's pregnant, And my uncle like, well, I don't know how she could be that or whatever the case may be. And we go to this house, we live in there. Belly's getting, everybody is talking about it. So uncle takes me to the doctor, he takes me to the clinic, and sure enough, I'm pregnant. And I am. And I think it's so funny how my family would be like, why you didn't say nothing? This is how I knew when I got older. This is how I knew when I got older that I was invisible. Because when we went to that clinic, I was 8 months pregnant.
Now, ask yourself, folks, how does this happen? A 13-year-old, 12 going on 13, is pregnant, almost ready to give birth. She is 8 months. She needs 1 more month to go. How does this happen that she's pregnant and nobody notices? This is just so unbelievable, but it happens all day, every day. It happens across the world that is, this goes on. That parents are so oblivious if the parents are in the child's life, and if the parents are absent, as in Niesha's case, her mother was there but not there, father gone. Why didn't the uncle notice? Because he was absent most of the time. Why didn't the teacher and her fellow classmates notice and report it? Because everybody's responsible for these young people. There's an old saying, it takes a village. And we all got to look out for each other. If you know that you got a classmate who is pregnant and she is underage, it's your responsibility to go tell that teacher if the teacher didn't notice, and then the teacher can follow up with the authorities and the parents or the caregiver, whoever is taking care of that child. I understand that some people don't show at all. There are cases where people go to the bathroom and the child just is born, because they don't know they're pregnant, especially these teenagers who are so oblivious to what childbirth is or pregnancy is, and they think it's indigestion. For 9 months, they're going through this indigestion. They're throwing up, and they attribute it to, it's just mood swings. I'm a teenager. These things happen. My hormones are raging, but they don't chalk it up to pregnancy. But it's up to the adults in these teenagers' lives who should be noticing the changes, the mood swings, change in behavior, change in clothing, how they dress. Because sometimes they hide it with these baggy clothes. And you got to pick up on all those little clues and signals.
8 months pregnant. You telling me I got all these adults around me and nobody knew? And I'm not talking. They're not talking. Yeah, I was 8 months pregnant. My uncle was mad and he was hooping and hollering, talking about this baby won't have a baby. And how did this happen? How did this happen? In the house. In the house. I ain't going nowhere but where, I was living. So everybody was, calling me fast and all these things, so whatever. So then we leave out, the ladies talk to you and ask, do you want the baby and all these things. And I was like, no, I guess not. I really didn't have much to say. I didn't talk for like 2 months. At least not to people. And when I went to school one day, I remember one of the boys at school like, you look pregnant. And I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. Nothing. And that wasn't a thing of hiding it. It was a thing of, I didn't know. I never was pregnant before. I didn't know what was going on with my body. I didn't know I didn't know. All I could say is I didn't know. And that shit is true. Like, I didn't know. This was before we actually went to the clinic. This is how you know that there was no adults. Nobody gave about what I looked like, nobody greeted me when I came home. Nobody was hugging me. Nobody was kissing me. Nobody was telling me that they give a shit. So, we go to the clinic. They tell my uncle how far along I am. He's pissed off. And, here we go. And then everybody's like, yeah, so here everybody goes asking me, who's the father? So prior to that, I think this cousin noticed that my body was changing. And he asked me, do you think you're pregnant? And I looked and I shrugged my shoulders. I don't know. I think he knew because he's older than me, but I didn't know. That ain't stop shit though. That didn't stop him from doing what he was doing. Then he asked a little bit down the line. He really didn't have conversation or anything. It just was a thing, I don't know. You just lay there. And so word was getting around, and about it, and everybody's asking me who was it, and I really didn't say, because when he asked me that I'm pregnant, he was like, basically, you better not say anything. And it wasn't really no threat, it was just like, you better not say anything, and I was like, I just didn't say anything. I already was not talking, so who I'ma tell? And then we go home, and then it's going all around to the family. And the only person that, honestly, the only person that I felt like I betrayed. Oh man, the only person that I felt like I betrayed or didn't have a voice to speak to was my brother. He came. I guess one of my aunties had told him, and he came. And he was like, "You pregnant? You having sex? You fucking?" And I didn't say anything. He was like, "You so stubborn. You don't say nothing." He's like, "What the f is going on?" Like, he just was so pissed off, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I still see him standing over me and me just looking at him.
I guess the disappointment was great for both of them because he didn't think it was going to happen to his sisters. But what does he expect? No adult in the house, and he was probably not watching them the way he should have because 18 years old, you want to go off with your friends. So these girls were left alone pretty much.
Who are you pregnant by? Who did this? He just had so many questions and I didn't answer. I didn't say anything to anybody. I would get like my cousins or something, my older cousins. My brother's girlfriend at the time, she was like, look at your belly, like, you're really pregnant.
I don't know if any one of you can remember pregnancy at that time was something that you're so ashamed of if you are a young person out of wedlock. Niesha is what, like 40 something? So when she was coming up, I'm sure it was really something to be very ashamed of if you were pregnant so young and you're not married. I know when I was coming up, it was like that. And I think things don't change because even today, if a young girl gets pregnant, she's not married, and she gets pregnant at 13, 14, people look at her with, the side eye to make her feel so ashamed. Instead of finding out who really did this, who is the culprit, who is the baby daddy, that's what you want to know. But oftentimes, the young person who is pregnant is shamed by society, parents, friends, etc. Guys, I'm going to end it here. If you want to hear the rest of the story, go over there to Niesha's page where she chronicles the journey with this child, this firstborn, who was conceived by her cousin, 18 years old, and she is 12 going on 13. This is the 18-year-old.
But you're a kid, they're like, you pregnant, was you having sex? They're talking to me like we cool, like we homies and stuff like that, And, my cousins. So they're like, like, was you having sex and this? So I'll make up this story about me meeting this boy and having sex. And in this little teen club that we used to go to, I remember the dumbass story. And so, of course, everybody was asking me, and who's this little boy? Who's this little boy that you was with? Where is he at? We need to find him now. I understand the importance of why my family was behaving that way. Like, we need to find out, what happened, If this was consensual, if this was, SA, if this was whatever. Now I get why everybody was up in the uproar about it. And then it came back, of course, that this story's not true. And because it was a lie, some shit I made up, I don't know. I guess being a kid. I don't know how exactly it came out. I don't remember, honestly. But it did. Started to hear like little stuff from people. Really used to talk around me like I was invisible, and it just blows my mind now. Like, my kids can't go a day without saying I love you or good night or what you doing, what you got going on, how you feeling, mental check, like what's up, because that was insane to be that young and nobody was talking to you, and nobody really would talk around you like you didn't matter. Yeah, it was weird, but it was happening. Everybody was so focused on themselves. So I started to hear people talk about it, and who they thought it was, and X, Y, and Z. And I really don't remember how it got out there, but it did. And automatically, I was victim shamed. I liked it. I thought he was my boyfriend. Kind of like Brenda's Got a Baby type situation, except for I wasn't like a prostitute or nothing. And automatically victim shamed. Yeah, automatically victim shamed. That was my boyfriend in my mind. Yeah, that's what happened. I heard that a lot. Yeah.
I'm not hearing a happy ending to this story. I'm not hearing what happened to this 18-year-old who, S.A. her, for her to give birth to this baby now, and this baby grew up to molest her own daughters. So the cycle repeated itself. But I want to know, was this man, because he was 18, a grown man, was he tried? Did anybody press charges? The family was so bent on finding out who it was who did this. Once they found out, did anybody do anything about it to bring this 18-year-old to justice? That's what I want to know. But she didn't get into that. And because she didn't get into it, leads me to believe that nothing was done. He was allowed to get off scot-free for this act. Because in black families, we know that stuff like this gets swept under the rug or swept under the rug. And so, guys, drop your comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. If you want to go check out the rest of the video, because she says other stuff like the cousins and how they questioned her, and her mom passed away. Her brother was very angry and bitter as to what happened to her, this pregnancy by another cousin. And so she got into that, but the sole purpose of me examining this video was to really determine if she was pregnant by a cousin and gave birth to this first-born son who molested her children. And because that is what Jaguar as well as TJ said, and I wanted to know if they were telling the truth or lying, and they are telling the truth. She did give birth to this first son who was a product of incest. Drop your comments, guys. I'm over and out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and to the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.